Welcome, everybody, to Help the Helpers this morning, this evening, this afternoon. And I've been really looking forward to this session. We've been thinking about it for a while. And BJ is going to do part two of our talking about religion. And we'll talk about it in a different way than we talked about it before. And I'm really looking forward to it. So, with they always say on the YouTube channels, without further ado, and I always think, what is this ado? So I won't say without further ado. So now we're going to give the the stage to BJ. Good morning, BJ.
Hey, hey, everybody, whatever the clock says, whatever your body says the time is for you. I want to start this morning by showing you something, and I'm going to try to share my screen, but every time I try, look at all this stuff that comes up. Hang on. Okay, now let's see. I know that looks familiar. You can see it, right?
Yep, we see it. Very pretty.
Every time I am asked to say something, I always, first of all, look at who is there. So every week in your email box, you get this message. And I just want to look at it with you for a minute. It's a support group, it's free, it's a weekly gathering to empower, hearten, and encourage. Therapists, counselors, teachers, helpers of all kinds. We begin our week accompanying each other with embodied listening and connection to meet the profound challenges of our time. We start with a brief reflection. Whatever the topic, the core of the reflection is how focusing can nurture, inspire, and steady us so that we can be present for others. So that's my task. A brief reflection on how focusing can nurture, inspire, and steady us so that we can be present for others. Your part is a focusing conversation will emerge from whatever is there for us in the moment. So just to review a little bit more, I don't know if you can read that or not, but that's what's at the bottom of your helper's ad for today. To reconsider religion. What makes it have such power to move us for good and for ill? What is this it which shapes both human experiencing and cultural expression and evolution across history and around the world? How can helpers effectively encounter the very real experiential phenomenon and phenomena to which the word religion points, both in our work and in ourselves?
Mm.
What an amazing thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Sometimes I wake up and remember what it was like on Christmas morning as a little kid, or I remember when it was Easter Sunday morning, and it was still dark, and my family was getting up to go and travel over to the Indian mounds where we always had the Easter sunrise service. Jesus would leap out from the side of one of the mounds at the end, just when the train was going by, and the little choir would sing, "Up from the grave he arose." It was very exciting. I would have my Easter bunny, my little Easter basket. And Monday mornings with you is kind of like that. We never really know who will show up. I went back and watched the very first Help for Helpers. It was like April the 4th, 2020. And there we were, a good many of us. So, first, I just want to recognize the wonder that we get to experience because of Christine and Lynn and the team that get together and figure out things for us to get to see with each other. You know, most all gatherings that have to do with what we might call religion have a time of ingathering, casting the circle, something that creates a little boundary for us, a little nest, a little safe space, as safe as any space can be. And that's what we're doing right now. Just coming together. So what I'd like to do, since this is about focusing, is invite you to join me for a minute in a moment of focusing. Ever how you arrange your body. I like to close my eyes. Huh. To feel the seat holding me up where I can rock and I can turn and look out the window. If it suits you to just notice how your breath is coming in and going out. And then if you like, I invite you to listen. Listen for the smallest sound that you can hear. Somewhere nestled in that smallest sound that you can hear, there's a tiny, tiny suggestion that has to do with the word religion. And oh my God, it might be like, for me, my toes are clenching. They always clench when my heart is beating fast. And I'm curious, I don't want to miss anything. I also notice a lot of being defended in myself. I want to cross my arms. I don't know what how's your body responding to this word? What's your experience inside of this word? And I invite you just to say hello to that. to that whole energetic field that fills your skin envelope. Say hello to that. And then, as Jean suggests we do, to clear a little bit of space. And I want to invite you to take with me a little moment of enchantment. Just imagining this. Something you would really like for someone to know. Someone you love, someone, your neighbor, someone that there is something you just haven't been able to say, but you'd really like for them to know. And there you are. There I am, with all that accompanies the word religion. And with that yearning to be able to have someone know. And now I have a deep breath, a sigh, and I invite you to come back with me to the room. I was lucky enough to have my son travel with me, and our rule was we took one book only. I took the same book every time, wherever we traveled, with ever pilgrimage kind of group I was accompanying. My one book was William James' Varieties of Religious Experience. I recommend it to you. It's kind of old and stilted language now. But it was my real first introduction as a teenager to the idea that religion is just a word that for many people refers to some amazing experience, some painful experience, but it captures something elemental. Varieties of religious experience. So, considering now that this is a focusing conversation and that I'm only supposed to speak briefly, I want to show you one more little thing, which is a tiny group of quotations about the things I've been reading and studying in recent weeks. to try to create that circle that you could just step into. So let me see if I can share it again. And it takes a minute to do this stuff. Hang on, everybody, because I want you to do it.
Well, we use this as a moment to focus, and we
Oh,
can, while you're doing that, we can feel into what we experienced with you in the attunement.
thank you. Do that. That would be helpful for me. Mm.
I had also loved that book, Varieties of Religious Experience.
Now, what do you see?
Now we see your quotes.
Mm. Just take a look at that. My first experience of the reality that Gene has tried in all his writing to help us grasp came when I was in divinity school, and it was Friedrich Schleiermacher. The title was something like On Religion to Its Despisers. It was a kind of a defense of the religious phenomenon as he perceived it. And he said religion is a feeling. I find that to be kind of provocative. Religion is a feeling. And then the other one I just want to say something about is this guy, Bruno Latour, philosopher, very strange, French maybe. Religion can be understood as a mode of address that transforms relationships rather than conveying information. Okay. Now, dear friends, I am going to call on Shashi. I love the things you say. You just cut right through and have some very clear thought about what you're confused about, or that provokes me always to think a little deeper. So, Shashi, say something.
No pressure, Shashi.
No pressure at all. No, this here we are. We're in an experience together.
I think for me, religion changes as I move through my life. It depends upon my needs at any given time. Um, I don't,
Let me say that back. It changes across time depending on your needs.
yeah. At this stage of the life, I need help with disattachment from the sensory world, in terms of attachments. And I don't know. I don't have much profound thing to say. When it comes, I will say it. If it's profound, I don't know. I say things. But I have been reading a little bit of Gita. You know,
Mm,
Gita is,
yes.
is it has 700 shlokas in it, and each one is like a gem. And people spend lifetime studying it. Um,
And you've been reading a little bit. It's it's the story. Most of you guys know this, I'm sure. The Bhagavad Gita is the epic poem. Arjuna is the warrior, and Krishna is his uh, chariot guy.
yes,
And they talk about the most profound things.
yes. About life, the purpose, the meaning, um, the goal, the ultimately to mingle with divine, which is the basis of Hindu philosophy or all the Eastern philosophies is anyway.
Hmm.
So don't ask me about
Oh,
it.
oh, okay. Let me ask you just one question, and then we'll move on. You said at this time in your life you're needing a little help with this, and then you went on and said something about attachments. Is there any more you could say about that?
Not really, BJ, because I need to find some words that would make sense to everybody because
Okay,
I
good.
don't have those words.
Well, that is right there, a living expression, right, for you of what's unsayable, but so ultimately important that it requires a lot of care. And then I'm going to call on you, Liz, but I want to say something about attachment because many of you were trained as therapists or helpers of some kind or another. Kirkpatrick, based on the gentleman who came up with attachment theory, Bowlby or something like that. Basically, Mr. Kirkpatrick says that our religious understandings and experiences and the whole thing are really a kind of coming to a secure attachment, and that we can do it in a commensurate way. That is, if our early attachments and if our evolving attachment, it is relatively secure, we feel pretty held by the universe, then our ideas about religion and our seeking of expressions and experiences just continues that. So this
I,
lady, this lady Risotto, she was in the quotes too. Anne Marie Risotto uh, is a Freudian person, and for her, we have a living representation of God. That's one of her book titles. And it's not an image, it's not a picture, she says, but it's the whole thing, the smell, the inner sense, the whole thing of being softly held, safely held, and that we get this sense of what that would be like if we didn't have it. And that's the other kind of attachment that religion can be that Mr. Kirkpatrick talks about. That's why I guess sometimes in fundamentalist kinds of faiths, people are saved because they never had it, a secure attachment. And then they have it. So that's a little bit about when you speak about attachment, Sashi, that comes to my mind from the things I've been studying. And you know, guys, that doesn't make it just some words on paper, does it? Oh, It it's designed to make it be something we understand for those people that are religious in our lives that we just don't get it. How can they be like they are? Well, something about it brings an attachment. It's powerful. Okay, Liz, please.
Okay. So this presentation, I thought went with the month of the unsayable. And so I would like to know, BJ, what for you is unsayable? Because there's so much about religion that's so sayable. And for me, what's unsayable, so I could go first,
Please.
um, is that when people talk about religion as if it is this real thing and this good thing and everybody believes in it, and I don't, it becomes, there is a definite taboo there. Not always, but there often is still a taboo about being a non-believer and a non-celebrant of religion. So anyway, that's me. But um,
Yeah,
did you
thank you.
just want to go from the main topic of the unsayable to what's in the advertisement for your talk today, which is you want us to reconsider religion? So have you just gone to someplace else completely, or would you be willing to relate what you're doing to what is unsayable about religion for you personally?
For me personally. Well,
Well,
first,
yeah.
yeah, first let me say, um, oh golly, Pauline, I want to say thank you. You not too long ago in one of our helpers sessions showed us a little clip of Jinlin reminding us that a word is a word is a word, and that we have this word that might be the dictionary definition, and that underneath that word there is just an infinite intricacy of richness and texture that we can draw from that word. So, what I hear you, Liz, doing is describing the intricacy of religion when you see that word, that it's something you don't really believe in or celebrate. And so there's a big discomfort about it. And oh God, if you didn't see our first session on the unsayable, it was so beautiful. So many of you talked about what had been wounding or painful about religion in your life. It was just so, yeah. So, what I'm suggesting is that to the degree we can like set aside the word and what it's meant to us always, and just imagine that there's, Lynn, you need to say something.
No, when you're ready.
Okay,
Sorry, I
okay.
wanted
That's
to
okay.
raise my hand mechanically, but it wouldn't.
That's
I
okay.
didn't know how. Sorry.
Just imagine that there might be something in that word, some experience, some expression, some whole making that people have been trying to talk about since time began and are not able to do so. So if we dismiss the word before we ever go any further because we think it means what we think it means, then it makes it just so hard to be with people who are religious in some way. For me, to be religious is the same as being a focuser. And if we can get away from the charge of it for ourselves in some way, then it lets us be able to hear that struggle that people have had since time began, having an experience of awe, having an experience of such extreme suffering. The battlefield, the soldier says, Mama. Whatever we find that can comfort us or soothe us or challenge us, that people who are religious might be encountering something of that. And if it is an attachment, if you want to talk about it in those terms, we take Santa Claus away from people. So
Well, Santa Claus usually is taken away from people when they're very young. So, I mean,
when they're ready, hopefully, and sometimes we're not ready, but when we're ready, yeah, when we're ready, that image of the divine drifts away. And then something else arises that I can stand in, be secure in. So I want to go to Lynn now, and then Marvin, and
well,
then
can I just ask you to sum up because I just wonder, I'm going to give it one other shot, BJ. Is
okay.
there anything for you that's unsayable about religion?
Maybe my comment might help
Well, no,
there.
we can't say it. That's first of all, right? But I appreciate what you're asking, and what comes to me, it's two things. I'll tell you just one, an experience I had on a vision quest, and we were supposed to be doing a death lodge. We were alone for 4 days, no food, and see who wanted to come, see who would come at my death lodge. And there was a tiny little yellow flower that was growing in the rocks. And the tiny little yellow flower said, "You cannot save me. You cannot save anything." That's an unsayable in my religious experience. And the bottom of it was, and so you have to trust the rest to other hands. Yeah.
Thank you, BJ.
Okay. Thank you, Liz. Y'all, if you go back and watch the video about the other unsayable, Liz, I'm going to call you out. You said to another person something like this: I don't want you to be alone. You you can be with the we. And I just wanted to lie down on the floor and cry. It was just so moving. Lynn.
Well, I love what we're saying so far. I just wanted to clarify for myself that the word unsayable, has two different but related meanings. One meaning is that it hasn't been formulated yet. It's unformulated experience. And there are some experiences that we can't formulate. They're too big to fit into our formulations. And there are others that aren't formulated because they're threatening, and people will be mad at us or shocked or upset if we formulate them, or people will reject us. We won't belong. And others, we just haven't, it hasn't been on our wavelength yet to formulate those experiences. We don't put everything into words. But religion is this kind of unsayable in that we can't say it. It's too big, those kinds of experiences. My mentor that I love, that I never met, Brother David Stendelras, talks about how these experiences of belonging to this vast network of life that we can't say, those experiences, we want to hold on to them. We want to hold on to that experience, that thought, that moment. And so, as a way of holding on to it, we make a story about it. We get together with other people about it. We find rituals about it. And that's what we call religion. It's what we do with it. But the experience itself is sort of unsayable in some way. And then it becomes unsayable in social ways because people attach to these stories, to these rituals, to these ways, and then divide up and say mine is good and yours is bad, or to have religion is good and not to have it is bad, or vice versa. In my family, my mother was very scornful of my father and I being religious when I was a teenager, and it was unsayable. I had to hide it from my mother. It was very, very worst thing a teenager could do is go to church in my family.
Lynn, let me say back the first of what you said. The In the academic teaching of religion, there's this thing that's in the vogue now. It's the three B's. The three B's: belief, behavior, and belonging. And you can take those three B's, and what I heard you saying, Lynn, was the behaviors. We get together with other people and we tell stories, and ideas come from those stories. So we have the belief, we have the behaviors, and then the belonging. That idea that most social ideas about religion have that sangha, those people that are with us, they support us. And it's so interesting. If you listen very long, those three things always come up. I take refuge in the Dharma, the Buddha, the Sangha. And Lynn, I want to thank you for bringing some clarity to the unsayable. What's unsayable is the awe in religion, and what's unsayable is the things. So on purpose, I've been kind of confusing us. And before I call on the rest of you guys, go back with me to that thing that you wanted to be sure someone knew for a moment. Something you just so want to be sure someone knows. I did a brief intervention called dignity therapy with people in palliative care, and that was one of the questions. What would you like for someone to know that you're not sure they know? What would you like to say? For me, it's somebody in my family that drives me apeshit crazy. And I wish I had some words to say that would help them understand. why it upsets me what they do. And I've been trying for 24 years now. And I'm going to keep trying. But it sure is unsayable. I'd love them to know. Would somebody else share with us what came to you? Something you would like someone to know? Yes, Marvin?
Two things. The first thing is really, I don't know if it's acknowledgement, if it is thanks, gratitude. I don't know how to call it. But for some reason, you managed to get me in some place inside with words like wonder, suggestion, enchantment. And what it appeared to me is like a miracle moment. But that's about the process. So thank you for that.
Well,
And
thank you.
the second thing I'll share is that it's very difficult to say. It's very clear to say, but I don't know if saying it is good or discovering it is better. So I really don't know. I've written it, and maybe I would say it because it can, to some extent, for some, just clear a little part of the pathway. Just clear. So I wrote, there's a promise attached to this word. There's a promise attached to it. That tiny, tiny suggestion is for me that little promise. Something that would never. Oops, go on.
A little promise.
A promise
Something,
attached.
a little promise attached.
It's a promise, and so, but I will stop here.
One of the philosophers, Latour, writes about religion as a form of address, that all of those words are not explaining something, but they are somehow a communication, an invitation to some kind of communication. And thank you, Marvin. Mary?
Today when we were focusing, I in part, because I have been focusing for some time now, and in part because of the sense of expansiveness that I experience in different groups with Lynn and BJ. What came up for religion was to play with the word of the real and the ION. And then you had said the smallest sound. And I was thinking about, I own the life force within me was sort of the association. And I just wanted to share that much for now. Plus, when our first speaker was talking about different things in different times in our life, there's this way that I've been, privileged to sit among a group of scientists who were sharing which which ones had some background of religion in their life that was meaningful to them, and which ones were atheist and how much they loved science, and which ones had this other sense of like, even if religion is something that humans make up because we need it, it had an elements that they cared about. And each of these groups in that meeting, they had different felt senses about them, and it's that's sort of the fun part. And then the part that's more difficult, Lynn really talked about how Jinlin says to sit our own, maybe I would use orientation, beside us, and be with the other. And it's so helpful to me because I can talk to someone from any culture, any religion, and that's what New York has given me, those opportunities.
Oh gosh, I love what you said at the end there, that New York has given you, but something has given you this freedom, a freedom to just sit with anybody who might practice in any way or have a group around them that seems very strange to me or that has some belief that I don't understand. But you have a capacity now. Yeah. Dorothy, I think you're muted, dear friend.
There we go. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate, Mary, what you said about this whole idea of having a new orientation to sit beside people who have different views. That's been a long time coming and still a work in progress for me. But where this hits me today is I'm starting to be able to want to do that in my family, because that's the place where I have had the strongest barriers up to listen, coming from a very religious family where fundamentalist Christians, where I felt such discomfort at a very early age, and actually felt, the word abusive is so overused sometimes, but I really did feel it as abusive to my soul growing up and beyond, because of their need for me to believe like they did. They really could not see me as whatever the word non-believer is. I didn't see myself as a non-believer. I just didn't believe as they did. I didn't adopt their thinking. It was very restrictive to me. But now I'm realizing I want to listen. When my niece's husband, who they belonged to a church in Maryland, told me he was filling in for waiting for a new pastor, their church, and that he volunteered to give some sermons. I was pleased that I asked him that I wanted to listen to them, and that I just listened to with a different ear. I always was upset that when you went to a service and the lesson was always about explicating a few verses in the Bible, when I thought they should be talking about what's going on in the world. But my my niece's husband did that, but it was beautifully done for me, almost like a piece of literature, almost like pulling apart a piece of literature
Mhm.
And he did it in such a humane, beautiful way. And that was such a lesson for me to be able to, as Mary said, to have an orientation that could be different, but could sit next to him, so to speak. And I communicated that to him, how much I appreciated his sermon. And when I do go to Maryland and sit with him, now I want to have a conversation. Can you listen to me? So recently, there's always these two sides. And recently, my sister, who's a little bit older than me, said, I really want to know what your religion is. That just like shocked me because she never has. But the reality is, when I sat across the table and tried to say what I was about religion wise, she really couldn't listen. In my opinion, she couldn't take it. She couldn't stop and pause. She kept moving on. So there's such a complexity to all of this. But I don't want to wait. I don't want to put that out there that they have to listen to me. I have to be understood. They have to listen. I would like to stay in the mode of increasing my ability to listen to them. And I think that will work better for me. Thank you.
Oh, Dorothy, thank you. You really articulated it so beautifully. What happens when they just can't listen to us, and how hard it is then, for us to listen to them. I want to just tag what you said about as if it were a piece of literature. That's why I thought about starting with William Wordsworth's I wandered lonely as a cloud, and then I saw the daffodils, and my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. There's a lot to be said for studying literature, beautiful language, because it gets to that thing that's below that makes it possible. Mary and Dorothy, it makes it possible to just sit beside and really listen for what's below. Does it comfort them? Does it challenge them? Does it instruct their daily life? Does it give them some ethical stance that, frankly, would be good if a lot more people embraced? What are they really talking about below the stories and the rituals? And they probably don't know themselves in terms of being able to say it. Thank you. Lip?
Excuse me for my sore throat. I was not going to speak, but I feel inspired. Can you hear me with my sore throat?
Yes.
Okay. So, for me, the religious essence is a felt experience almost every day of being connected to life. I have a sense that I belong to life, and particularly when I realized the complexity of life and the inherent order in life, even when there seems to be chaos, there is a tendency, an impulse towards order. And when we look at complexity in across different levels of existence, living and non-living, from the cell to the solar system, is that felt sense that things are complex and yet have order. And for a human being that I'm born into, there is a very thankful sense of agency without having to control everything. So there is a deep felt. It's not a thinking thing. It's a felt experience of thankfulness and awareness of complexity and order, an inherent order towards order. Um, so every day, if I, I have a felt that, like, if I look at beautiful things, like when I design things, like, there's an order in the design. And when there is kind of more chaotic appearance in nature, there is also some order within it. So for me, it's religious is not out of ordinary. It's a very practical. I would say they're like today I'm not very well. I got sore throat, but I have a felt sense my living existence has some sense of being able to heal, being able to make to restore order.
Mm.
So
Oh,
I,
Lip, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just have to I say thank you for bringing the word healing in here. Uh, e- a- and and bringing the words like life, that this is an ordinary thing that I experience, being part of the order of the universe, from the cell to the whatever. And it's almost like those of us who have been religious and who have comfort with religious language, it's like we have to ask to be forgiven because the language is so it's an old way. The word religion is an old way. And it's really too bad, because there's something so astonishingly beautiful about recognizing we're a part of life. We're a part of life. Susan, dear Susan, you're muted.
Well, I loved Lip saying, what was that? Oh, you have to help me remember that I am life, or it is life. What, I don't have it. What did you say, Lip?
uh, I belong to life.
I belong to life.
Life does not
Right.
belong to me.
Okay,
My
right.
life is given and will be taken,
Mm.
but I have a sense of belonging to life.
Yes.
Thank you,
Life does
Lib.
not
Thank you,
belong
Yeah,
to me.
Lip, thank you.
Lib.
That stirred
Lib,
me. It's
belonging.
one of the things that I feel. I don't always feel, you know, I can feel very, very, what is it, out of touch, but I can feel in touch.
Mm.
And I was thinking too that, people who would say they're not religious, but they may have something that for them is what orients them, what, like a scientist or I mean, I think it's much bigger a religion than Christianity, Islam, these organized creeds. But it's sort of what comforts one, what, to me,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
what orients me, what I'm sure it has to do with very early, bonding or not. I don't have that. Oh, anyway, I don't quite have the words, but I hear these two levels that we're talking on.
Thank you, dear Susan. So when someone says, so tell me about your religion, to be able to say what Susan just said, well, what I believe is that there's something which orients us. It orients us. And then you might have to fall silent. And then you could say, what orients me is this sense. And then ever how you are at the moment, that I belong somehow in the greater order of things, that you belong, that we are one. I mean, you could just go off, but there's something about being asked. So, what is your religion? It's almost like, you know, back to our other unsayable, you know, what kind of sex do you like best? I mean, it's like, wait. But thank you, Susan. An orientation. And did you use the word? You didn't use the word heal. Did you say comfort?
Comfort. I did say comfort.
Mm, comfort.
And there's something for me. This is. I feel like there's something of the child for me, and the totality, the completeness, the way I see my little grandchildren relate to living without. They're so whole. There's something whole and complete. And what's the word? Maybe unself-conscious. But this lower part of I was going to say, I've always longed to feel understood, and I felt not understood or not completely understood. But it's as if there's something that knows me more than I know myself. So there's that element about being known.
Something that knows you.
Or a longing for that. There's, I think, longing in this, what we're talking about, a lot of longing. Maybe that's what's dangerous too for us. Because we misinterpret. It's so visceral. It's so necessary that we kill for it.
Yes. Unsettling. Liz put a quote in the chat about being unsettled, being challenged, being shaken. The first time I was shaken like that was realizing, okay, if I have to go to hell, because dear Laura, would you put yourself on mute? Thank you. Thank you. If I'm going to go to hell for having sex, okay, then I'm just going to go to hell because I got to do this. And I was like 16 years old, and that was not funny. It was unsettling to the very core of who I was because I knew that life had intended me to be somebody who has sex as much as possible, as often as possible, in as many different ways as possible. And if I was going to have to go to hell for that, I made the decision that day. I'll worry about that later. That was the first time I was unsettled to the core because of that tearing. And I have been unsettled again and again and again. Now I identify as a transhumanist. I always think I'm at the end of the train. I've come to the caboose. And then I find some more words that someone else has said, that Gene Gendlin, that opens up a tiny little shaft of light that says, well, maybe I haven't come to the end. Maybe there is yet a posture I can take.
DJ, can I just cut in and ask you,
Please.
when you were thinking that you might not go to heaven if you had sex, did you ever go to a place where you thought maybe there is no heaven and it's not even an issue?
Oh,
And I
yes.
made all this up.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I did not make it up. But I do.
Where somebody made it up.
Well, thank you. That's huge. Most always in lectures and things about religion, we talk about the eschatological vision, the end time, and that religion helps us That's why we come up with all this stuff. Helps us deal with the reality of death and that things are going to end. And so no wonder we were given these images of lions and lambs, not being able to say the unsayable, not being able to bear the unbearable, the loss. And then we get this idea that carries us on a little. And so why would we take heaven away from anyone? Why? As my father was dying, he kept him at home. We kept him in his bed so we could lie with him. It was on and on. And the day before he died, he looked at me and he said, "Sugar, the king is across the road." And I said, "Really?" And I looked out the window and I said, "Well, what does he want?" And he said, "He wants me to come over." And I said, "Oh, you should go. You should go right away. Please, you should go right away." And he said, "Uh-uh." I knew my father would be glad to go to heaven. So that made me curious. And I said, "Why? Why, uh-uh?" And he said, "I want you to go. I want you to come with me."
Wow.
And his belief didn't let him believe I was going to go with him. So when I get defensive and want to kill about religion, that the day before my father died, he had to worry about whether I was going to go with him. Oh, yeah, that's a whole thing, isn't it? Jesus, that's a whole thing. But anyhow, transhumanism kind of suits me now. And I believe now we never come to the end. If we keep on just listening, there'll be a word that helps to, like a seed on a peach, that grows, that's solid, and that grows something sweet and juicy that just drips down our chins.
BJ,
Dorothy.
I'd love to say something to what you just said that about your father. I'd never put it together this way, but I know my mother. I was with her just before she died, and I just know how important it was to her that I have the same belief as she. You know, Bible verses were in every card she sent me. It just was so important to her. And what you said, it just gives a little bit different perspective of like she wanted me to be in heaven with her. Like this would be her way, well, I can see my precious daughter again. And it's just coming to me the power of belief, the belief. You know, in every sermon, I just went to my sister's husband passed away in October, and the same thing, I could see it on my sister's face when she talked about her husband, that I will see him. I will see him someday. And the power of that belief. I mean, I always like looked at it like you're crazy. And it's like just another way to view it. Just when you said that, the power of your story. Thank you
Yeah.
for your story.
Yeah. And I don't know what y'all think. I could go off on that a long time, but what I believe now about the eschatological vision is that all is forgiven. That my mother and father are with me now in a way that they could never be with me, nor I with them, in this side of the Jordan, shall we say. But now they know it all, Susan. Now they know, they understand. And I know, I understand. And all is forgiven. We can go home. And sure, we make it up. But
I think BJ is frozen and Lynn had her hand up.
Oh,
I I'll speak while BJ unfreezes. What came to me is a visit with Jane Genlin shortly before he died, and he was saying to me that I forget exactly how this went, but he said that he knows that God God is not a thing or a separate being or something like that, but that the child in him needs to speak to God, and that if he doesn't speak to God, that he feels the child in him feels lonely. And I thought that captured so much, that human need to personify, to make the things that are beyond comprehension into things. We make them into things or to beings. And that relationship of myself with this whole everything, and if I call it God, I give it a name. There's something about the name that makes this relationship of belonging. My partner Ellen used to call it the mystery, and she hated the idea of religion and calling something God, but she was very comfortable calling it, her relationship with the mystery. And Jane's philosophy has so much of that essence of religion in it, but also the essence of why we need to name something, to relate to it, because we are this interaction with it. So it's sort of like breathing. We need to personify things and then to sort of let them go, those constructs, but then personify again. And that was very, very helpful to me.
Mm.
It's a little bit like idealization in a way. Some of the things you said about idealization have come to me. I keep imagining that there will be a devotional text. Please forgive my language again. That will be sayings of genes from a process model and from ECM. Because, yes, Lynn, some of them suggest such a promise.
I see Eric's hand up.
Good, thank you, because I don't see hands. So, yes. Eric.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate what you said, Lynn. Childlike longing is like being right in the place where the attachment is healed. And
Wait, is what? Where
the childlike longing that, can you hear me?
I can now. Where the attachment is what? Held?
If I can say it again, I don't. When Lynn was talking about Jean being like a child talking to God, that related to Lee Kirkpatrick that you talked about, BJ. Religion can be understood as an attachment relationship in which God serves as a secure base. And if we're willing to feel the longing for this secure base. That's human. So I think what can get lost in the topic of religion, you pointed to it, BJ, or maybe it was Lynn. It was Lynn. Tribes have experiences and they want to centralize that and make it important and idealize that. And so they create rituals and then a structure occurs and it becomes about power. And then it probably becomes about patriarchy, which is an unfortunate thing.
Some religions.
And yet, that childlike longing, boy, if I'm in my sort of worldly self and I don't want to focus, but I'm suffering, that's one thing. But if I long for what focusing, for what happens, then I'm going to focus. And the world changes. So there's a saying, one piece is that for me, I was a raised agnostic kind of intellectual family. So I didn't have any superstructure of religion. And I became Buddhist. And Buddhism doesn't really deal with the attachment wound. It's very fierce because Asians didn't seem to have the damage that we have. And I've had to find healing for my attachment wound in other places. It's said that you can't really practice the bodhisattva path, which is the path of emptiness, emptying out, and heart, unless you're grounded and present. You have to become present and empty out yourself. But there's an interesting saying, which is there's two stages in the path from one point of view. There's aspiring and entering. Aspiring is like religion, and entering is like being or present. And so religion is created to further presence, but presence gets forgotten. And we don't forget it in focusing. And it isn't easy to carry what we discover in focusing along with us moment to moment.
No.
That's not easy. And it isn't easy to carry the longing that heals the attachment wound with us. It's very raw. And Liz, I love the things you said because it's that edgy, there's this edgy place where we can't take it for granted. You know, it's not, we don't arrive. We don't arrive. We don't get to have entered. We have to enter again, which is very, very tender living with that.
Longing heals the attachment wound.
Ruth has her hand up.
Thank you. Ruth, please.
Surprised
Liz-
the one that's seeing
Liz,
these hands.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't before because I've been in and out of my fake shelter because there have been alarms all afternoon. And Liz has had her hand up a lot longer than I have. So should I go or Liz, do you want to go? I haven't said any.
I just wanted to say as I speak for the Unsayable, that I just wanted to know if anybody thinks there's a downside to all of this, and we're really privileging, what you get. And then I was struck by Lynn saying that Gene thinks a certain way because otherwise he'll get lonely. And my response was, so you're lonely. Life has a lot of loneliness. So be lonely if you're going to
Yes.
embody what is. Do you just going to make stuff up because you're in pain? So then where does the Buddhist, whole thing come in where you want to give up all of those attachments or something like that and kind of be where it is? That's all I have to say. Just that little thing.
Yeah, Liz, thanks. That the word I hear, the word that comes to my mind is kenosis, which means self-emptying. That we just got to let go of all our stories. We're gonna have to go. Let go of all our stories and just be with it. Exist. That yes, I hate it, and I have it. So,
If I could just speak for a minute because I might have to run again. We've had
please, Ruth.
I live 5 minutes from the Prime Minister, for what it's worth, and they're trying to kill him right now. And not that I would not want to kill him as well, but I wouldn't kill him because I'm not into that kind of aggression. But it's been very, very scary. And I just have to say, it is one thing to talk about religion. And I could say a lot about religion and about fear-based religion and love-based religion and all kinds of stuff. But I keep being reminded these days, as the missiles are much closer to me and my friend's neighborhood, the last couple of days, they're way closer. They're very, very loud. The building shakes. I'm reminded, was it World War II or World War I, that there are no atheists in the foxholes. And I don't talk to God. I don't have a relationship with God. But I certainly do when I'm sitting there huddled down and thinking, or in the middle of the night when I'm woken up at midnight or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and running to a stairwell because there's no safe room where I live. And I know it's my choice to live in this country and all of that. But there are times I just want to put this out because it's very different when you live a different place. And I had 4 blessed weeks of no anxiety. And when I was in America, it was cold. It was, as you know, I had no heat in New York for a week, and that was challenging, but it was, it's very, very different. So just to, I think when we talk about religion too, especially over the, historically, people will go through stuff with with family members, with not just political things and geopolitical things. And I have to say here, I have a focusing partner in Dubai, and he's into nature and focusing. He's a physician. He's working on his second PhD in nature and meditation and stuff. And we focus outside, and we can both hear missiles in our respective countries. And it's incredibly surreal. It's really, but he has no place to go. They get warnings, but they have no place to go because they don't have that infrastructure. But anyway, just to get a little bit of a taste of a different, and I'm not asking for anything in return. I just wanted to put that out.
Very
Thank
important.
you. Thank you for listening.
Very important element, Ruth.
Thank you.
And I think Orna wants to speak.
Oh, blessed my neighbor.
Yes.
Orna, where are you?
I'm here. Thank you. Well, the whole subject of religion for me is really like a Nietzsche, perhaps a split between spirituality and establishment, a religious establishment, and I'm still there. you know, it's very. I think that focusing for me has spiritual elements, but they're not from the institutionalized religious type. So this is why I love it. While a lot of the political aspect of religion is not easy to speak about, is from the unspeakable because of its social sensitivity. Because, like I cannot really speak with my Muslim friends about their religion. Everything is so sensitive. So, yeah, so this is why I really differentiate between spirituality and the political and institutional aspect of religion.
You.
Thanks.
Wow.
Marvin, I see your hand.
Vijay. I would like to stand with Liz for a moment. So I'll first say a few things sayable, and then I'll say something unsayable. What sayable seems to be, I take a few words like that, but from everything that has been shared, Shashi came with that word attachment. And lip offered life, I think, to it. And Liz related to, not Liz, sorry, Lynn, in her message on the side, it talked about unsettling, unsettled. And then in the conversation, the word secure attachment came. So I'll say the unsayable now. It can have a kind of biblical resonance to it. I wrote it and I said, oh my God, what have I written? I've written, but it's something we can hang ourselves to. Something we can hang ourselves to.
Something we can hang ourselves to.
Lynn, I believe our time is up.
Yes. Yes.
And
So we're ending with this image of something we can hang ourselves to. It occurred to me that poetry is very much about saying the unsayable, right? And focusing of saying the thing that you can't say. And we have other people wanting to speak, but we don't have any time left. Thank you so much, BJ. And we're going to end with Dorothy's poem. And thank you all. Thank you all so much for hanging in here.
I do want to send my wishes for peace to Ruth, because that is such an awful place to be when your life is at the edge with the missiles going on. It's
Yes.
I sent her my
Yes, me too, Ruth. Yes.
To Orna also.
yes.
Thank you.
And to any one of us who has bombs going off inside.
Absolutely.
Or had bombs outside and they are still in the memory.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Dorothy.
Thank you, BJ, for this opportunity and for the poem. Never Been Gone by Jacob Brockman. The wind is coming up strong and fast, and the moon is smiling on me, and the moon is smiling on me. Miles from nowhere, so small at last, in between the sky and the sea. I'm bound for the island, the tide is with me. I think I can make it by dawn. Oh, it's night on the ocean, and I'm going home, and it feels like I've never been gone. Seagulls cry, and the hills are green, and my friends are waiting for me. Great ambition is all a dream. Let me drown my pride in the sea. I'm bound for the ocean. The tide is with me. I think I can make it by dawn. It's night on the ocean, and I'm going home. And it feels like I've never been gone. Oh, it feels like I've never been gone.
Beautiful.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
BJ, thank you so much.
Thank you, BJ. Yeah.
Thank you very much, BJ.
Thank you.
It's great. Yeah, this is great.
Thank you.
Thank you, BJ.
Stay safe, Ruth.
Thank you. You too, everybody.
We hold you in our heart.
Thank you. And all the people, all the people of the Middle East.
Yes.
Thank you. I hope to see you next week.